It started with a knock no one expected on Christmas night, sharp, deliberate, the kind of knock that tells you someone out there has made a decision that might change everything. If you're here right now, stay with me until the end, because what happened next is the kind of story that reminds us why we hold on to hope, even when the lights go out. And if stories like this move you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because we tell the ones that touch the heart and stay with you long after they end. The snow had been falling for hours, a soft white curtain settling over the quiet street. Inside a small, dim house at the end of the block, Emma Walters sat curled on the floor, her back resting against the couch. Her two children, Lily and Noah, lay beside the small fireplace, wrapped in blankets, their cheeks rosy from the cold. The power had gone out earlier that afternoon, and the tiny generator she'd borrowed from a neighbor had sputtered out just after dark. Emma tried her best to smile at her children, to make Christmas feel like something more than just another reminder of everything they'd lost. This was their first Christmas without Michael, her husband, a firefighter, a man everyone called brave, except the little boy and girl who only ever called him Dad. But courage doesn't stop tragedy. And Christmas doesn't delay grief. When the knock came at the door, Emma stiffened. No one was supposed to visit. No one ever really did. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders and opened the door just enough to see him. A large man stood there, snow collecting on his shoulders and in the creases of his jacket. His eyes were steady, his posture firm, like someone trained to stand in storms instead of run from them. "Are you Emma Walters?" he asked. She hesitated. "Yes, who are you?" He reached into his jacket and gently pulled out a small badge. "Not police, not fire. Navy. Retired. My name's Jack Turner," he said. "I served with your husband's brother, Mark. Before he passed, Mark made me promise something. I didn't know how long it'd take me to keep it, but I'm here now." Emma's breath caught. She hadn't heard Mark's name spoken in months, not since they lost him too, in the same year that broke everything. "I know this is strange," Jack continued, his voice calm but warm. "But you're not supposed to be alone tonight. Come with me, please." Emma blinked, unsure whether to shut the door or collapse right where she stood. "I can't take the kids out in this weather. We don't even have heat." A soft smile tugged at Jack's mouth. "That's exactly why I'm here." He stepped aside and motioned toward the end of the driveway. A black SUV sat rumbling there, its headlights cutting through the falling snow. And inside, heat, blankets, food. The kind of warmth they hadn't felt in a long time. Emma swallowed hard. She looked back at her children, who were now peeking around the corner with curious, tired eyes. "Why?" she asked quietly. Jack paused, snowflakes melting on his eyelashes. "Because Mark saved my life. Twice. And he told me if anything ever happened to him, I needed to make sure his family never felt forgotten." The word forgotten broke something open in her. She called the kids over, bundled them up, and together they stepped into the cold night. Jack lifted Noah into the backseat effortlessly, tucked Lily in beside him, and handed them steaming cups of hot chocolate from a thermos he'd brought. The look on their faces, pure wonder, was enough to make Emma's throat tighten. They drove for a long time, winding through silent neighborhoods lit with Christmas lights, until they reached a large cabin on the outskirts of town. Warm light spilled from every window. Smoke rose in steady curls from the chimney. "This place was Mark's," Jack said as he opened the door. "He wanted it to be yours." Emma froze in the doorway, her breath catching as she stepped inside. Stockings hung over the fireplace, 3 of them embroidered with names she never expected to see again: Emma, Lily, Noah. The tree was already decorated. Gifts filled the base. A framed photo of her family, one she didn't even remember taking, sat on the mantel. Emma pressed a hand to her mouth. Tears slid down her cheeks. Jack lowered his head. "I've been preparing this place for months. I didn't want to show up until it was ready." How did you do all this alone?" she whispered. "I didn't," he said. "Your husband had friends everywhere. He just never told you, because he didn't want you to worry about any of us. But we kept in touch. And when Mark passed, we promised we wouldn't let his memory fade. Not for you. Not for the kids." Emma sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. Lily crawled into her lap. Noah reached for the presents under the tree with wide, sparkling eyes. Jack stood quietly near the door, as though unsure whether he belonged here or not. Emma wiped her tears. "Please, stay. You're part of this too. Jack smiled, one small, grateful smile that looked like it had been waiting years to escape, and stepped inside fully. They spent the night together, eating warm food, sharing stories about the two brothers who had shaped their lives in ways they didn't even realize. Jack told the kids stories of their uncle, some silly, some heroic. He told Emma things she never knew, how Michael used to brag endlessly about her cooking, how he carried a photo of the kids tucked in his vest pocket even on the toughest days. How he once told Mark, if anything ever happens to me, make sure Emma knows she's stronger than she thinks. Emma listened with trembling hands, but the trembling wasn't from grief anymore. It was from the realization that she wasn't alone, not then, not anymore. As midnight approached, Jack turned to her. You don't have to decide anything tonight, he said softly. But you and the kids have a home here. For as long as you want it. Emma looked around, at her children laughing, at the warmth filling the room, at the man who had walked through snow and distance and grief to keep a promise long overdue. She whispered, thank you. Jack shook his head. Thank Mark. And thank Michael. They never stopped looking out for you. And for the first time since the world fell apart, Emma believed that maybe, just maybe, Christmas could still mean something. Maybe hope could return. Maybe healing had finally found its way to their door. And as she watched Lily and Noah fall asleep under the glowing tree, Emma understood the message Michael and Mark had left behind, carried by the hands of the man who stood beside her now. Family isn't always the people we're born with. Sometimes, it's the ones who show up when the world goes dark, carrying light. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be shared, and you never know who might need to hear them.